Gonna take a little trip right now. Let's go back to the year 2008 in Cottonwood, Arizona, hometown. This is pure imagination, but let's say if we did, pick up a newspaper, flip to the back, and begin reading the obituaries. You're reading through there, you've got a whole list of people. There's gonna be one name that stands out to you that seems like it shouldn't belong. With most of the names in there, you notice the dates of birth prior 1950. People dying of old age. There's quite a few. There is one, however, that's much more recent than that. It's one that says 1990. His name was Donavan Escalante. He had died at 18 years old. And if you read this newspaper, if you continue to read, there's a lot that it can tell you about him. It can tell you that his full name was Donavan James Escalante, that he was born on January 18th, 1990, and died January 17th, 2008. It can tell you that he left behind 2 loving parents and a little sister, that he died miles away from home in a high school dormitory, or that he was a senior that was about to graduate from school. It could tell you about how he'd grown up his entire life in the small town of Cottonwood, or how he had a heart condition that ultimately led to his death. But there are many things that this newspaper cannot tell you about him. It can't tell you that he was named after an 80s band, Donavan, with a changed spelling. That his father wanted to name him James, but his mother was sick of having 5 or 6 Jameses in the family. It can't tell you how he seemed to have an infinite knowledge of Star Wars that would have surpassed George Lucas. How he loved the 70s and 80s music, even though he hadn't been alive at the time, Garfield, and loved SeaWorld. Can't tell you that he switched schools his senior year because of an invitation from his best friend, which is an extremely difficult thing to do for anyone. Can't tell you how much he loved it at his new school, and how much the people there seemed to accept him more. It can't tell you that he never seemed to get depressed or discouraged. He had a permanent smile on his face, always giving his patent-worthy thumbs up to everyone. It can't tell you that this person was my best friend for 7 years. Donavan was not perfect. All right. Sometimes we have the habit of, making someone a saint in their death. I'll say it up front, Donavan wasn't perfect. All right? He was 18 years old and still loved his Dragon Ball Z. His life goals included becoming the manager of the local bashes. And he failed to get his driver's test once, and he chose not to take it again because, hey, he didn't want to have to pay for his own gas. He could just have his parents drive him around. One thing about Donavan was that he was always happy and always smiling. Nothing I saw, and like I said, this guy was my best friend for 7 years, nothing I saw ever got him down or discouraged. He didn't care what the world thought of him. He really didn't. And that's one of the things I admired so much in him. I could honestly talk for hours about Donavan, but I obviously don't have that long, and I honestly don't think I'd be able to make it that long. Donavan was willing to do just about anything for me. We had been best friends since since my 5th grade year. He was two years my senior. He didn't have a lot of friends in Cottonwood. I had no friends in Cottonwood. I just moved there. But he's willing to do just about anything for me, just because I was his best friend. Whether that included giving me some extra change at Taco Bell, which he never could afford, but always somehow had, or just hanging out with me when I asked him, which he loved to do, or listening to me play my violin, which he absolutely hated. Often referred to that as that squeaky, stupid instrument. We almost never talked about anything serious or deep, because Donavan hated serious and deep stuff. He liked lighthearted happiness. But at the same time, he always knew when I was feeling down, and he always knew how to cheer me up again. Like I said, there are many things that the records can tell you about Donavan Escalante, but they can't tell you the most important things. Can't tell you about his character. Can't tell you about the lives that he touched, including the whole school. Donavan was a son, a friend, and a brother. He wasn't perfect, but because of his love and friendship for me, he is one of the most Christ-like people I know. And that's something that you just can't learn from the records.